So, have your axe, and you have your handle. Now you're going to combine the two. If you bought a handle from us, great, the majority of the work has already been done for you. You then need to do a bit of shaping, a bit of sanding to it, I imagine, if it doesn't quite feel good in the grip. If it does, great, no need to work, but if you do, get it done before you do the final hang. It's a lot easier to work around a handle without a head on than with a head on. Also, if the head is indeed sharp and you're working it down, you can very easily start to cut yourself. You don't really want to do that now. So get shaping done now, make sure it's nice and smooth, and there you are, all good on that front. Now comes the part where you've got to put it on. You need to now shape down the eye here to match this eye, or that. The numerous way to do this, the easiest way is to do it with the saw rasp. Google saw rasp, what comes up. One side has got some very nice rough teeth, very good for wood removal. The other side has softer teeth, designed for prepping it for sanding, all that. Shape it down every now and again until it fits. Of course, when we go on first, try to sand down a lot more, but pop it on and want to tap it tight. You don't want to have 2 points of contact here and jam the handle down, because that will result in the handle getting stuck in the wood. And when you try and get it on down with a bit of like a metal drift like so, and you tap this part, it might end up, if it's too tight, mullering the inside the wood, and you'll never be able to get it off without burning it out. So ideally, what we need to use is inertia. So pop the handle on, give it one tap, and then just win the handle without anything there. As you can see, the head slots on nice and there. Of course, with yours, it won't go on first try, but this will be an awful lot easier and save your handle. Also, if you are forcing it on, especially if you're using a metal hammer, like a little ball peen, if you're hitting that side, it can actually start to split down the grade. Ideally, you want to use a wooden mallet. I'm using a little leather hammer, which also works rather well. So, pop it on, shaving down wood as you go, taking your time, taking care to make sure that bit of the axe is indeed straight. Now, if it is starting to go off to the side, there's a couple ways to solve that. Well, there's actually one way to solve that. You want to then shave off the side of the axe, which it is not facing. So, if, of course, this is exaggerated, but if it's going over to this way, you want to shave off this side. This results in the center line, the handle, shifting to the left rather than the right, to my left. And then you should be able to sort it out. Shave off that side as you go. Don't get it on all the way, then shave it, because otherwise you use a lot of material and that handle will be rather loose, wouldn't be very tight. So ideally, shave it off as you go. If the head looks like, of course, exaggerated again, going down like this, very much not straight, how we solve that is you shave off material on the side in which the bottom of the eye is, or the axis, on this point. Shave that off like so, and so it shall go down there. Get it as straight as you can. Of course, hand forged axes are, I admit, rarely straight as you can kind of thing. So that way, when you are chopping wood, if it is off to an angle, you're not just going to suddenly go off like so, and you will get nice straight cuts, all that. Take your time with it to make sure it is nice and straight. Once it is all the way shaved down, and it is indeed nice and tight, and you use inertia to your advantage to get it nice and tight on, and you're happy with it, you should have ideally a bit of material proud on the top. This allows you to cut it nice and flush, and also a little bit of material to stop it from flying off the top. If it's cut flush with the eye, there's not a lot preventing that axe from flying off this way, so leave a bit of material proud, as it were, kind of thing. Once you checked it, nice and straight, now comes the part where you need to insert your wooden wedge. Now, there is an argument for either softwood or hardwood hand wedges. I personally don't see the difference in it, as long as it is cut to the right angle and it is shaved down nice and smooth, and it will apply compression to this point in the wood, then it'll work just fine, kind of thing. Ideally don't use a metal wedge for this long one, because the metal wedge, if not cut properly, will only go so far, and then it might even just damage the axe, kind of thing. It won't actually apply any sort of compression, will not make it tight. So a metal wedge, ideally. Once you have your wooden wedge, you can cut it yourself, kind of thing. Apply a nice lot of wood glue to it. And you can't be, of course, you need to be excessive with this stuff, make sure it is nice and tight, because ideally you should either do one hang in the axis lifetime, just to make sure there's a lot of wood glue on it. You can apply a bit more to it, yes. Rub it in nice and deep, so it stays there, all that. Right. Once you have that wood glue on, pop it in like so. You can either beat it this way down, that works, or you can work it like that, as long as the wedge is on a nice hard surface. It'll go down nice and tight. Make sure it will go downhill. Right, I did forget to say, idea before you do this, of course, you need to make a little curved little saw line in the middle. Ideally, you want the saw line to end up beyond the middle of the axe, kind of thing. Don't make a saw line down into the wood that just goes into the halfway point. Go a bit further. Ideally, this will result in the wedge going a little bit deeper, applying a bit more compression to the wood. It's less likely to come off, kind of thing. All that. Once you have that kerf in, pop the axe on, pop the wedge in it, then make sure it's nice and tight, and that wedge is as far on as it will go. The wedge is cracking a little bit, but that I'm sure tells me that is as tight as it can be. So now you need to indeed cut it off. Final step, cutting off the excess. Now you can do this with bandsaw and or saw, that works too, but of course you still want to leave bit material proud so it can prevent any rough material flying. There you are. You can also stand up the wedge if you wanted to, or put a little wooden cleat. Now I recommend, not a wooden cleat, but a metal cleat. If you want to put a metal cleat in it, make sure it's not going the same way as the grain in the handle, because that will result in the wood splitting down that and wouldn't look very aesthetically good. I mean, it doesn't matter too much as long as it's tight, but it could result in the wood splitting and all that, so ideally put it the other way. Once you have put that wooden handle on, you could put a bit of a linseed oil in the top. This would polymerize wood, so it wouldn't actually expand it, just apply a bit of protection to it against rust. Some people do say, boil up some water, pop that in to expand it. That is a very bad idea. Honestly, that ruins the wood in it, ruins the wood fibers, or it doesn't actually make it expand a lot. If you want to make it expand, put a nice little metal cleat in the end of that, and that will result in it being nice and tight. Once you have handled it, there you go, axe is indeed done. Linseed up the handle. If you want to polymerize it, like I said, it'll give it a bit of light protection against woodworm and the weather. Put this on, and also a bit of, if you want to, you could use linseed on the head, or you could use a bit of WD-40 to result in the head not rusting, all that. Like I said, when you are handling, be wary of the sharp end. If it is sharp on here, you could also, if you have a sheath, pop that on and just wrap it in a plastic bag to make sure you're not going to cut yourself when you're working around that sharp end. There you go. So you handle the axe. Happy chopping.